Internetland. Welcome to another edition of Shoot Promo, the only wrestling game show in the world, probably. I am your host, Red Reddington, and first off, I'd just like to say thanks for all the great feedback we got back from the first show. It was so good. We're doing it again. Please subscribe to our podcast and follow our Twitter at Shoot Promo Show for more information on when we're broadcasting and doing stuff. We have another two teams of three wrestling fanatics ready to dissect, discuss, and dilute the past week of wrestling. So let's meet our teams. Team 1 this week has called themselves 360-degree heel turn. It's captained surprisingly this week by the bastard love child of Matt Hardy and Heath Slater. It's RedMachineD.
And if it weren't any of myself, not just being team captain, but I also have a cold this week.
It is. He's down. He's handicapped, guys. It's terrible.
So that means you guys have a chance.
Coming all the way to us from the Woo Serious podcast. It's the. Well, I mean, it's OmegaBR.
Yeah, you know, I was a little immature a few weeks ago saying it was joining in, but this is my real first time, so please, not too rough.
He's a scared little white guy.
You said premature.
I did, yeah. And surprisingly, we were going to have RedMachineD on the show tonight, but we don't. So instead, drafted in at the last minute, like Chris Harris, it's Swerveface!
Doing it for the children.
Oh dear God.
Not sure if you should call FBI.
On the other side, we have Team GoldenDumpX, which is practically the new NWO of Shoot Promo, led by last week's loser, PX.
Yeah. Boo. We're taking over.
So, he comes, of course, with the Outsiders, Team GoldenDump. It is Mr. Goldeneye.
Sony got hacked again.
Oh, God. And WindowDump.
That's right, Chico. We're taking over.
Jesus Christ, I'm suddenly worried my PS3 whilst on the online. Of course, we are joined by our live studio audience that has grown by about 100 people, who are here to boo, cheer, and just generally be here and be possibly, you know, we have some possible new faces for Shoot Promo here as well. Say hello, studio audience.
Yeah.
Yay!
Hello.
My show is better.
Hello. Okay, so basically, let's go through the rules because some people are new, some people aren't new. The teams will attempt to answer some questions about this past week of wrestling, as well as taking part in some more improvisational rounds. Along the way, they'll be awarded for being funny, positive, and original, whilst having points deducted for moaning, groaning, and making sweeping generalized statements, like Dave Meltzer. Points will be fucking buried. Points will be awarded for deducted with accompanying sounds. For example, if a team says something funny, they'll be awarded 1 point, which sounds like this. Hey, new sound by GoldenEye. Thanks very much. If they say something funny, they'll be awarded 2 points, which sounds like this. And if they say something hilarious, they'll be awarded 3 points, which sounds like this. On the other hand, if they're drifting too far off topic, say something terribly unfunny, I'll deduct points, which sounds like this. There we go. So let's get started. Seeing as no one walked out this week, apart from RedMachineD, we can start this week off exactly the same as usual, with winners and losers, where each member of the panel gets an opportunity to build an early lead for their team by taking a look at the past week in wrestling and telling us who they thought was this week's biggest winner and this week's biggest loser. For example, you could say that this week's biggest winners are Miz and R-Truth, as they have finally gotten their jobs back in WWE. You could also say that this week's biggest losers are Miz and R-Truth, because with Triple H in an active wrestling role, there'll be no shortage of jobs for them to do. So that being said, who do you believe were this week's biggest winners and losers? Let's go to Team 360 heel turn first. Let's go to RMD. Winners and losers for this week.
Well, I'd like to start on week's biggest loser, which would be Triple H, because not only did he get walked out on in the previous week, thus being the previous week's Biggest Loser, but this week he also got stripped of his title and thrown back on the active roster, which means he's going to tear his quads again, which means he's going to end up tripping over a shovel again, and which means he's going to end up losing in some pointless match to some mid-carder guy on his way up the roster again. Which just means, of course, just like happened last year, he's going to end up involved in a rather pointless WrestleMania match against said mid-carder in which he goes over. But that would mean the week's biggest winner is that mid-carder. Sure, we don't know who he is. Sure, we don't know which side he's going to come from, Raw or SmackDown, but we know somebody's in for a really big push. Because no matter when he gets back on the active roster, Triple H always ends up getting in a program with somebody, which means someone's on their way up the card while Triple H tries to put them over while putting himself over. And they're pretty much going to butt heads and collide and land somewhere near the event.
Just as a question, are you implying that Undertaker is a mid-carder?
I was going to say that, but I've got to give you 2 points for general positivity towards Triple H there. I
was just going to say that this random character we don't know has had enough.
Okay, let's move on to the other team. Let's go to the other team's team captain. Let's go to PX. PX, your winner and or loser for this week.
Well, I mean, like I said off air, I was pretty bitter about the show, even though I can look on the bright side. I feel that it's easier to do a round called losers and losers and winners and losers. But I'm going to have to go against RMD and pick Triple H as my biggest winner because sure he's back on the just as an active wrestler and he's not CEO anymore, but he put himself so far over on the show. I mean, he came out in the opening segment like he's done for the last 3 months straight now, opening the show, and he comes out, he buried the entire roster by saying they were all babies who didn't want to perform for the fans, for us, so he buried them. He came out and said he refuses to quit in his job despite the fact he already gave up SmackDown. He abdicated SmackDown and let them do their own thing. So, I mean, I don't know what's point there. He continued to bury the roster by saying a broomstick could have a better match than half of them. And at the end, he was able to beat up both Miz and Truth, despite the fact that CM Punk couldn't come even near that sort of beatdown. And on the loser side, quite easily is, I could say a lot of people, but I'm just going to go with one, and I'm going to go with John Morrison because not only was John Morrison squashed in 1 minute by Christian in his match, but he came out and he came back from his protest. He went out to protest against Triple H for being a bad COO. He comes back in and says, Johnny Ace, you're even worse than Triple H. So why the fuck did he come back in? He's stupid.
I mean, I'd say generally negative there, but I did give you some points for some truthful statements there. That's what we like. We like the truth on here. And talking of the truth, let's go to our possible... Oh, no, let's not make racial jokes. Let's go to OmegaBR instead.
Well, it's been a rough week, and, even winners have to sometimes find ways to cope with our harsh world and the tough scenarios they often find themselves in. So after Monday Night's Raw, I'm just going to have to say the winners this week are the proprietors and distributors of such fine alcoholic beverages as Bud Light, the sure sign of a good time. And as far as losers, I'm going to have to agree with my friend PX here that there are just so many to choose from the fans to the writers to the poor talent who have to enact these inane situations. But I'm just going to, since there are so many, I'm just going to go with the call me cliche, but I'm just going to have to go with the obvious one, and that's Matt Hardy. God bless him. He's trying real hard in rehab, and we all hope the best for him. But, I heard a rumor this week that actually, upon being apprehended by the police, Matt tried to blame the whole thing on his accomplice, that, of course, being the Hamburglar. But in a twist reminiscent of Chuck Palahniuk's classic novel, Fight Club, it turns out they are, in fact, the same person.
Same person. Brilliant.
Oh, great.
Matt Hardy and the Hamburger.
Oh, that's wow.
What's the Hamburglar doing in the WWE zone?
Oh,
Can
dear
you
God.
selfish prick?
Okay, let's move on.
Jerry, you hungry prick.
Let's move on to Goldeneye. Winners and or losers.
This week's biggest winner, Sin Cara. Whenever he entered the arena wearing a suit. Hashtag swag. This week's biggest loser is, I would say Jim Ross for being fired in his own home city whenever the show began by the crowd chanting "Boomer Sooner, Boomer Sooner," instead of something like Triple H, and then him ending up getting fired in that town. I mean, Johnny Ace probably has the biggest heat ever just from firing him.
Yeah, I will say that. About the Jim Ross firing segment. If John Laryngitis wasn't already hated, he is now. That is all I can say. I cold level heat. Okay, let's go to Swerveface.
Hey, can I just interject real quick?
No, you're in the audience. No, go ahead.
Now, if heat was nuclear, John Laurinaitis would be the Fukushima disaster right now.
I should give you points, but I can't. You're in the audience. Maybe
Yes,
the
yes.
audience can earn points. Here we go. A
Dang.
point for the audience.
It's the third team. Who's the third team?
It's the third team. Let's move on to Swerveface. Your winners and or losers this week, Swerveface.
This week's losers are the TNA fans for thinking that they would get rid of Hulk Hogan and Eric Bischoff. That's not the case. There are reports that, they have renewed the contracts, and supposedly Hulk Hogan's is another 2 years, so as much as Dixie Carter wants to say it's a new era coming this Sunday, I'll be on TV watching the Sting vs. Hogan match that everyone's going to love in Philadelphia. In actual fact, you're going to have to survive with him for 2 more years. Doesn't matter if Vince Russo's no longer the booker. This week's winner is the Raw crowd because we all like signs, and today we had the Triple H sign in Raw. I don't know the description for it, but there was this one as well. If anyone's been seeing the Spider Cara thing on Tumblr, someone actually brought a sign with one of the pictures from it.
It was the same guy.
It wasn't the same guy because I don't think it was Cobra. Was it you, Cobra?
No, it wasn't. The guy who brought the H combo picture and the picture of Spider Cara were the same person.
Okay, and last but no means least, I think you went last. No, you didn't go last week. WindowDump, you usually end up going last. Your winners and losers for this week.
This week's biggest winner is, of course, Superstars, which somehow managed to get uncanceled from the internet, meaning that you can watch it on Thursdays on WWE.com like you never did before. And this week's biggest loser is Mr. No Days Off Darren Young, who now has the nickname Mr. 30 Days Off Darren Young.
I'm going to give you a point for that because that was a 2-pointer. That was two really good jokes in a row there from WindowDump.
You know what? I just have to say this. Is anybody else Rise had Darren Young's real name?
What is it? Like John
Fred.
Or... Fred.
Is it Fred?
Hi guys, I'm Dan Young.
Oh god, I'm dying over here.
Okay.
No, I'm serious. Look at that guy. His name is Fred. Is that not just the most hilarious juxtaposition between name and physique you've ever heard of?
Jesus Christ. Okay. Well,
Yeah, I thought his name was John Cena.
Well, let's have a look at let's have a look at the scores at the end of the first round. This week, currently our John Cena's with 13 points are 360-degree heel turn. And just behind, with 11 points, this week's Freds with 11 points, our GoldenDump. Let's move on. Our second round is our WWE round, which is all about Raw and downsizing this week. Team captains, who have you chosen as your WWE expert? Let's go to GoldenDump. PX, who have you chosen to answer your WWE round this week?
I have elected Goldeneye.
Elected Goldeneye. Okay, cool. And on the other side, RMD. Who have you elected to answer the WWE question?
I booked myself to answer this question.
He books himself. Fantastic stuff. Okay, well, here is your question. Raw was occupied this week by 4 wrestlers: Triple H, John Cena, Sheamus, and CM Punk. And much like Shoot Promo, they improvised together a match between Sheamus and Cena with H as the referee and Punk and commentary. Now, after the commercial, Vince came out and fired H and reinstated back to Laurinaitis. This pissed a lot of people off, not least Dave Meltzer, who fingered this as the worst moment on Raw this year. Somebody obviously missed Mason Ryan versus Evan Bourne. So let's rewrite history. Let's say we came back from commercials. Cena and Sheamus are still wrestling with only those 4 wrestlers. What matches, skit segments, double bookings can you come up with to last the 2-hour show? So booking for 2 hours with 4 wrestlers. Let's go to GoldenEye.
Well, the obvious one would be you continue the 1 versus 1 match, John Cena versus Sheamus, and then all of a sudden Triple H gets his Triple H combo face on and ends up attacking John Cena, while CM Punk, in a twist of his own, ends up helping John Cena and attacks Sheamus. Teddy Long breaks the line and comes out just to say, "Hold up, players, this gonna be a tag team match." And then he goes back behind the lines in order, the occupied Raw lines. And so the 4 have a tag team match in which CM Punk ends up attacking John Cena and Triple H ends up attacking Sheamus, obviously for, their previous feuds. And then John Laurinaitis comes out and says, "You know what? I think this should be a fatal 4-way match between the 4 of y'all for the WWE Championship." And then the 4 end up having a WWE Championship with JR's hat doing commentary because JR left it there. And so all 4 of them end up having a match where Triple H wins LOL.
And then the broom interferes.
JR's hat on commentary,
But I do
gold.
like to believe his hat calls it better than Michael Cole.
It's the clean sweep brooms. He's come here for his revenge.
Okay, let's jump over
I'm
to the other
wondering
side.
who was the ref.
Yeah, that's a good point. Jump over
The
to the other side.
broomstick was the referee.
Let's jump over to the other side. Let's go to RMD. Your 2 hours worth of Raw.
Okay, so the first match with Cena and Sheamus turns into a 60-minute Iron Man match, turning out some of the best technical wrestling that we've ever seen, since the days of, Frank Gotch and Buddy Stretcher and everything. And then, after the break at the hour, Triple H and CM Punk come into the ring. They do a 5-minute squash match in which CM Punk shockingly goes over Triple H, reminiscent of the finger poke of Doom, but since he's straight edge, it's a wrist tape of Doom. And so, after a while, they decide they're going to do a tag team match, and out of the crowd comes a fan, none other than Colt Cabana, to be the timekeeper, and then the Insane Clown Posse jump in just because, well, it can't get to be any more of a shitstorm than 4 men running a show, can it? And so, after a while, they decide, well, we're going to give these fans what they want, so John Cena gets up and hangs himself from the thus finally giving fans what they want, somebody else in the main event picture. At the end of it all, though, Vince McMahon comes out, fires everybody, fires himself. Hornswoggle is the new WWE CEO, and he decides to reinstitute Chavo Guerrero so he can go over him for another 8 months. Following that, the Divas division puts on a weekly show every Monday night. The ratings go into the what do you know, TNA won the Monday Night Wars Volume 2. End of fucking story.
Not sure
TNA
if Cena is New Jack.
Hang on,
This promo brought you by NyQuil. Yes, R&D took the green pills instead of the orange ones he was supposed to.
Somehow TNA wins the Monday Night Wars Part 2, despite being on a Thursday. Only Russo could book that. Okay, at the end of that round, on 19 points and just ahead are still Team 360 Degree Heel Turn, and in second place with 16 points are GoldenDumpX. It's still all to play for, though. We're only 2 rounds in. Next up is a round all about numbers that we have called The Numbers Don't Lie. A lot of wrestling is all about numbers, and those numbers are the only truths that we really hold on to in wrestling. So basically what I will do is I'll present the teams with a number or a stat, and the panel will have free reign to guess what that number refers to. It will be something to do with wrestling, okay? This week's number is 17. 17. So let's go over to the GoldenDumpX and see what they think 17 stands for. Anyone can jump in at any time, but let's start off with GoldenDumpX.
The current number of NXT rookies.
Amount of people buried this week.
The amount of hamburgers that Matt Hardy consumes on a regular basis.
The actual people that the Undertaker's faced at WrestleMania.
The amount of people at the SmackDown tapings this week.
The number of broomsticks Triple H booked himself to go over before he was fired.
The amount of tick sales that SmackDown has.
It's already said it can be said, but yeah,
Cents, pennies, dollars,
tickets.
Oh, so food stamp.
Yeah.
The actual amount of people who bought tickets for TNA Bound for Glory.
Number of craft services table Matt Hardy's has consumed in one night.
I'll give you a clue. It does have something to do with TNA. It does have something to do with TNA.
The total number of viewers? Or...
The total number of that Abyss has from former wrestlers in the WWF.
Show amount of paper buys.
The number of people in the X Division.
It does have something to do with number of people in something.
How many times the script was rewritten this week?
The amount of people wrestling on the preview, is it?
No, it's not that, no.
The actual
number of aborted push for Christopher Daniels.
The actual amount of minutes that TNA had last week, or minutes of wrestling.
No, it's not. It's got something to do with. It's something that Jeff Hardy and Scott Steiner have both been a part of.
Drugs.
Oh, the amount of points someone has in the Bound for Glory series.
The number of people in a mall.
There we go. Well done. Yes, it is indeed. It is indeed. The number of people that have been in Immortal up to this day was 17, surprisingly, ranging all the way from Hulk Hogan and Eric Bischoff to Gunner and Murphy. So that's a bonus.
It crossed my mind, but I said, that's fucking ridiculous. I'm not even going to.
It's a bonus points there for getting the answer right there to WindowDump. Wasn't expecting it, but there we go.
17 is also the WrestleMania that is the greatest of all time.
That's very true.
I had another one.
It's tough. We've ended the round. Go on, say it anyway.
How much money Mia got for her ring-worn tights on eBay? Plus a hand job.
I would give you an extra point for that, but the round is over, unfortunately.
The actual actually fat to China on that WWE website.
Oh dear God. Okay.
All right.
Right, now the round's over.
Now the round is over. In last place at the moment, behind by just 1 point, so that round would make all the difference. It's 360-degree heel turn, and now pulling into the lead is GoldenDumpX as we move in to the TNA round, which deals recent rumors. So, team captains, who have you selected to answer this week's TNA question? Now let's go to RMD. Who have you selected to answer about TNA?
Omega.
Shows how much you love him.
I think I'm the only one that watched TNA, quite frankly.
Pierre, who have you chosen to answer a question about TNA?
I reluctantly choose myself, as I probably am the only person who watches TNA on this show.
He's fallen on his sword. How devastating. Okay, well here is your question about TNA. Rumours have been running all over the place this week with regards to TNA, ranging from AJ Styles' contract apparently running out on Sunday, TNA being in talks with ESPN, Hulk Hogan signing on for another 2 years, TNA being in talks with Ted Turner. The list goes on and on and on. But let's talk about the latter, TNA being in talks with Ted Turner. If there was to be a new owner for TNA, who should it be? What would the new regime entail, and where would you see TNA being 1 year on from now? Let's go to those who are lagging behind. Let's go to OmegaBR.
Well, two names come to mind. The first one is the obvious name. That would be Mr. Paul Heyman, being the wrestling genius that he is. You know, I think the first thing he would do is pull an Enron on TNA and basically fire everyone. He would bring in some of the most prolific independent talents, people that, you know, he's always had a real knack for choosing talent that people want to see and putting them in situations and gimmicks that people want to see. 1 year on, I think a Heyman-led TNA would probably be releasing the death of WWE, and Vince McMahon would come out and hug Heyman as the general manager of Impact, and then AJ Styles would proceed to, shove his face in a bunch of country corn or whatever the TNA equivalent of Steve Austin beer bash would be.
AJ country corn, brilliant. Okay, let's go to the other side. PX, your new regime for TNA.
Just a sec. Okay.
Do I have to fight you again? Okay, carry on.
It's a laggy computer. So I figured that why not just, branch out the storyline that's running? Let's just have Hogan and Bischoff buy the company, and all the stuff that they try to do in kayfabe now becomes real. So they will legitimately kill the X Division, get rid of all the flippy shit, all the people. Since they defined the weight class, they can now fire everyone within the weight class. Obviously, we're going to push Hogan. I mean, why wouldn't we push Hogan? I mean, he's going to main event Bound for Glory. He'll win. He'll defeat Sting. He'll still own the company. He'll book whoever he wants to be world champion. He'll bring back his friends. So I think he'll rename Immortal Hogan and Friends. So we're going to have Brutus, the Barber Beefcake. He's going to come back in. He's going to get his push. The Nasty Boys are going to come in, get their tag team titles finally. We're going to have some shit in a pole, any shit in a pole match. Let's go with actual shit. We're going actual shit in a pole match. He's not going to pay his employees. Instead, he's going to suggest that they push the money back into the company. Instead, it'll go to his own pockets. And the highlight of all of Hogan's reign will be a push for Scott Steiner.
I give you a bonus point for mentioning good old Scott Steiner. We do like a bit of Steiner on the show. Yeah, okay, some sensible answers. I'm surprised. I was looking for some rock stars, some celebrities, maybe Jay Wow and all those people from Jersey Shore. That show that I don't watch.
Surprised neither of them mentioned Donald Trump.
Yeah, Donald Trump's always a good buy. Always a good buyer.
I was considering Billy Corgan myself, but.
You could have bought it yourself. It's probably worth.
As soon as my round was over, I thought the guy who bought WrestleLicious, that would have been gold.
Okay, well let's have a look at the scores. Currently on 28 points are 360-degree heel turn, slightly behind. On 31 points now are GoldenDumpX. We move into our next round, entitled 6 Degrees of Russo. This round had its origins in the notion that anyone can link themselves to anyone else on the planet through 6 degrees of separation. As well as in the less scientific, it's possible to get from any article to Hitler on Wikipedia in less than 6 moves. Whilst I'm not expecting our teams to create such genial links, I would like them to try and take it in turns to try and connect our starter word step by step to the god of swerves, Vince Russo. Any team that succeeds doing it will win the team 3 points. They get 3 opportunities each, and if they fail, I'll award 3 points to the opposing side. So let's have the team that's slightly behind at the moment. 360-degree heel turn go first. Your starter is Nick Gage. So RMD, you start off and then you pass it on to be Omega, and then pass on to Swerve, and then back to yourself. So you got 6 moves to get from Nick Gage to Vince Russo.
Okay, Nick Gage was in CZW with John Zandig.
And Zandig has the same mental issues as, I don't know, the Necro Butcher.
And Necro Butcher is some guy from independent wrestling.
And another guy in independent wrestling would be Colt Cabana.
And Colt Cabana is in the new Wrestling Revolution project with Kenny Omega.
And do you want to know who Kenny Omega will never meet? Vince Russo.
I will give you 2 points for the weakest link I've ever seen in the world. I will give you 2 points for that. Okay, at least you got there and you tried. Okay, PX, your team, your starter is AJ. AJ from NXT. Oh look, it's AJ.
I see. AJ is Natalia on WWE television.
Natalia used to work with Gail Kim.
Gail Kim used to work for TNA before she decided the butterfly belt was better than actually getting TV time.
And TNA was booked by Russo.
4. Oh, okay, 3 points there. Okay, let's go back to RMD's team. RMD, but we're going to start with Omega this time. So it goes Omega, Swerve, RMD, and then loops round. Okay, let's start off with Omega. You have got Drew Carey.
All right, well, Drew Carey was nearly attacked by Kane at the 2001 Royal Rumble.
Do you know who else was 2001 Royal Rumble? Rikishi.
And Rikishi was a prominent player in the Attitude Era.
Who else wasn't a prominent player in the Attitude Era? Why, Mr. Val Venus.
And Mr. Val Venus nearly got his pee-pee chopped off.
Oh, that's the new set. Oh.
You're the last
PP
one, RMD.
chopped off an angle booked by Vince Russo.
I'll give you a point for one. That was a good enough attempt at that. I would give you 2
Russo's
points.
or Omega's answer was better.
Who else has no dick?
Yes.
Okay, we'll give it one more try, and then we'll completely cut the head off this round because it hasn't worked.
Please, God, please.
That's
One
what
more
we have
attempt.
editing for.
We do have editing. I believe GoldenEye. GoldenEye. You're going to start off for your team with David Otunga.
David Otunga was in NXT.
Michael McGillicuddy was also in NXT.
Chris Jericho was a mentor in that season of NXT, or on NXT, not that season.
Jericho was also in WCW.
And Jericho was terribly misused in WCW by various people.
Namely Vince Russo.
That will do. That will do. I'll give you a point as well. Okay, we'll cut that round short because it wasn't really working. It's okay. Let's have a look at the. Let's just calculate the scores for that particular round. It puts Team 360-degree heel turn with 31 points in bottom place, and leading with 35 points are GoldenDumpX. We still have 2 rounds to go, so it's nothing has really been lost apart from my sanity.
If you want, we could just do the newspaper now and totally cut that section out of it if you want.
Yeah, I asked for the paper round instead of doing 3 degrees of this.
We'll put it in and we'll see how it goes. Anyway, shush. For now. Do we want to do people want to try and do the Russos, the newspaper thing, and just forget that segment?
Yeah.
I would like to forget that segment.
What segment?
The Russo segment was like a train wreck, and do you know what else is going to be a train wreck? Hulk Hogan versus Sting at Bound for Glory.
Alright, we'll just
hold on. You know, it's even a worse train wreck is because you douchebags got it fucking wrong. How can Chris Jericho be shittily used by Vince Russo in WCW when Chris Jericho left on the 30th of, I think it was the 30th of June, and to go to WF, and Vince Russo didn't go to WCW until October of 1999. You fucking fags fail.
I'm sorry. I'm green.
Enjoy the editing. Right, okay. Let's move on. Let's go to this week's general round, which is about Immortal. Let's go, team captains. Who have you? Well, this is whoever's left actually now. So Swerveface, you're going to be answering the pay-per-view the general round question for your team, and WindowDump on the opposite side. Okay, here is your question. Monday, as we already mentioned, was the 1-year anniversary of 10-10-10, the day that changed TNA forever. On this day, I see clearly, Immortal formed, and 1 year later, they're still going strong, I guess. They've had countless heel and face turns, splinter groups, and nobody is really sure anymore who is Immortal and who is not. But it's lasted this long, and they've had a DVD release about it. So I say, 1 more year, 1 more year, 1 more year.
1 more year.
No.
Being TNA, they would not be content with just turning more people heel or face or adding in even more people to the already bloated stable. No, this being TNA, they would have to need someone else to join. Someone so incredibly shocking and so outside the world of wrestling that no one would see it coming. So what stables, characters and celebrities from other forms of media would you have in Immortal, and how would Immortal's second year pan out afterwards? Let's go to those in last place. Let's go to Swerveface first.
Well, someone who shockingly would join Immortal is none other than Fred Phelps of the Westboro Baptist Church. And basically, as you get, when TNA starts, there's always the 30-minute Immortal promo. This will consist of Fred Phelps at his pulpit in the ring, where he dictates for 30 minutes how God hates the X Division, God hates Kurt Angle, and God hates Jeff Hardy for fucking up. And we keep on going on and on. And then one day the Impact Zone gets filled with the motorcyclists that try and defend the WBC pickets. Was it Patriotic Heroes? Then they flood in. And you have people like AJ Styles who, are part of that. So it's now going to be in a whole thing. It's going to be Patriotic Heroes, otherwise known as the Vanilla Midgets, versus the Westboro Baptist Church, which is clearly Immortal. And then,
I thought we were going.
And then it will be, for Bound for Glory, the biggest match of the year is going to be something like Fred Phelps versus Ric Flair, who has turned to the other side for once. So everyone likes old people. We'll have 60-year-old and I don't know what age Fred Phelps is, and we'll have Earl Hebner as the referee, and he's 63-year-old. So yeah, old people draw, brother. We get ratings. Last week's rating was a 1.0.
Sometimes I really think that Swerve was sent here by Dave Meltzer to try and bury the show deliberately.
I thought we were going to book Fred Phelps versus like Orlando Jordan.
Oh God, no! Good God, we might not even last 2 shows. WindowDump, save us, please, save us, WindowDump.
Well, you know what TNA really likes more than anything else, other than guys who have been featured endeavored from WWE? People who are members of the WWE Hall of Fame. And what better person to add to the Immortal roster than somebody who was in the WWE's celebrity wing of the Hall of Fame, but has never actually really wrestled. And so, who would be better than, of course, Drew Carey? to the 2011 Hall of Famer. Now, Drew Carey, as we all know, is completely hilarious, or so he used to be back like 10 years ago when he had several other people to be hilarious for him on his improvisational comedy show, Whose Line Is It Anyway? As such, Whose Line Is It Anyway will come back, but it will feature members of the Immortal stable, possibly everybody who has ever been in there anyway. Come on, admit it. You would want to see Jeff Hardy and AJ Styles and Scott Steiner and Hulk Hogan getting a bunch of scenes from the hat from the Impact Zone, especially, and since, you know, we all know that everybody in the Impact Zone is the plant, they're going to be able to rehearse all the skits anyway. So after that, I guess I could somehow find a way for Drew Carey to win the TNA World Heavyweight Championship in an over-the-top rope reverse battle royale, which I guess he gets thrown into the ring by Hulk Hogan and wins, and then he can finally lose it to Abyss and then lose it back to Sting and Kurt Angle. Don't even watch TNA. I'm just making up names.
It sounds like the TNA version of Shoot Promo, which I don't know. I wouldn't mind, I guess, slightly. Who knows? I think it would be better than having Fred Phelps there. Let's be honest. Okay, as we move into our final round of spontaneous promotion, let's have a look at the scores. Still behind with 38 points, a 360-degree heel turn, but just ahead with 1 point. It's a GoldenDumpX with 39 points. Okay, our final round is spontaneous promotion, where the teams try and make up some final points before heading into Defend the Indefensible. Recently, both WWE and TNA have focused a lot on power. The current Raw storyline is a power struggle between Sting and Hogan. I'll do that bit again.
Excuse me? Spoilers.
Recently, both WWE and TNA have been focused a lot on power. The current Raw storyline is a power struggle, and Sting and Hogan will clash for the rights to TNA as a company. Power is one of many intangible things that wrestlers fight for, and that is what really affects the way a wrestler is motivated and talks about their matchups. So this week's wildcards for your promos all have an intangible quality like power, and that's what I'd like you to get across in them. So 2 members from each team will randomly select a wrestler, situation, and this intangible quality by using the letters A to D. Bonus points will be given for good impressions and remaining in character as possible. So team captains, who have you selected to be spontaneously promoted this week? Let's go to the team that's last place at the moment. RMD, who have you selected?
Myself and Omega.
Okay, cool. Yourself and Omega. And PX, on your team, who would you like to be spontaneously promoted?
WindowDump, I'd rather you did Defend the Indefensible at the end.
Oh,
so,
fine. I'll do the Indefensible again. I'm terrible at impressions anyway.
So me and GoldenEye are going to take this one.
PX
Right.
and GoldenEye. Okay, well, seeing as RMD, your team is losing at the moment, I'll let you have free pick of the field, as you like. Your letter combination between A and D.
BBC.
BBC, did you say? Again, BBC. Okay. BBC. Okay. You are Brodus Clay, who is just about to have an appointment that evening with Dr. Heine, who you might remember was the wrestler, the character from the JR skit. And your wild card is your urge to kill is rising steadily throughout. It peaks and then suddenly drops to complete calm. Okay, so that's Brodus Clay, Dr. Heine, and urge to kill. Whenever you're ready.
Me Brutus, we have appointment. We have appointment with butt doctor. Put handed Brutus butt. No, not whole arm, hand, just hand. Brutus hurt, Brutus kill. Brutus feel nice. Okay, you can use whole arm, doctor.
Oh my god! Okay. PX, your letter combination, please.
I'm gonna have to go with my favorite wrestling promotion, AAA.
AAA. Oh God. Okay. Right. You are Paul Heyman. You're trying to convince Vince to push your match to the main event spot. And your wild card is that feeling when you're talking to a girl that you really like, but you can't bring yourself to ask her out. So that's Paul Heyman, Vince, and probably your everyday personal life. Burn! No, sorry. Go ahead, PX.
Jesus Christ, I have fucking idea what to say. Fuck this.
Jesus Christ. Okay, right. Okay, let's move on. Let's go to Omega. Omega, your letter combination, please.
Give me C.
Yep.
D.
Yep.
B.
CDB. Okay. You are Rap Master PN News. You've just drawn the dreaded number 14 in the Royal Rumble. And you have the feeling that the Great Wall of China might be stalking you. So that's PN.
What?
Rap Master PN News. Drawn number 14, and the Great Wall of China may be following you.
God, it's been forever since I've heard one of his promos, but well, I tell you, man, I got the Rumble, I got the number 14, the dreaded number 14. I tell you, it's like a wall, man. It's all tall. It's all surrounding me, man. It's going here to here, from the streets to the city. It's coming down. It's time. All these Mongolians, man. All these Mongolians throw me out of the ring. Over the wall, baby. Over the wall. I tell you, I just, I think I'm going to WCW.
At least you tried. That's the important thing in this round. At least you tried. GoldenEye, unfortunately, that leaves you with the slim pickings this week.
Just give me whatever. I'm hardcore.
You take them both. Okay. You are Randy Orton.
Oh, God.
You are trying to convince Rap Master PN News to be your tag team partner. So that's the previous wrestler. And your wild card is that feeling you get when you are in a lift, when you were inside a lift with too many people. So Randy Orton trying to convince Rap Master PN News, and that feeling you get when you're in a lift with too many people. Okay? Whenever you're ready.
Alright. Ding! Oh, hello there, Rapmaster PX. I can see that you came into this elevator with me, but as you can see, there's way too many people here, and I feel like I might RKO the nearest person at any moment's notice. But I do want to ask you a question. Well, I want you to be my tag team partner tonight against Cody Rhodes. Now, the fans have criticized me for being a little bit too... Well, I don't have that much of a personality. So I thought that I might get a tag team partner that has even more personality, so that whenever I do the RKO, there's, oh my God, RKO out of nowhere! He just RKO'd the nearest person on that elevator! Like I was saying, I want you to be my tag team partner tonight. Ding! Alright, we're here. I'll catch you later, Mr. PX.
Alright now, RKO!
Brilliant. Fantastic stuff.
RKO!
I mean,
RKO in the elevator!
You even managed to make it sound boring. But yet exciting at the same time. Let's calculate these final scores, ladies and gentlemen. Surprisingly in last place, possibly due to the biggest heel turn we've ever seen in Shoot Promo by refusing to play in the final round, despite saying that he wanted to in the final round, is PX's team, GoldenDumpX, with 43 points, which means, surprisingly, doing a 360-degree heel turn themselves with 46 points. A 360-degree heel turn!
Yay!
Woo! Yay!
Golf clap.
They sound overjoyed. It does mean we have to decide who is this week's Shoot Promo champion, which means going into Defend the Indefensible. So, RMD, who have you picked on your side to defend the Indefensible?
Ooh, I can't decide between Omega and Swerveface.
I didn't do it last round.
Yeah, you know what, Swerveface? You weren't active in the last round, so you will be.
Okay, cool. And on the opposite side, I believe you picked WindowDumpX.
Sure did.
You sure did, you big heel. Okay, Swerve, would you like statement? I should explain to the people at home that Defend the Indefensible is where the two members, Swerveface and WindowDump, will have to defend a statement that no one in wrestling can possibly defend. They'll have 30 seconds to do so. Points are scored silently. The person who puts over the argument the best will win the Shoot Promo Championship. So that being said, Swerve, would you like to go first or second?
I'll go second.
Go second? Okay, would you like statement A or B?
A.
A, okay, that leaves E for WindowDump. WindowDump, you ready?
Yes, I am.
Okay, your statement this week is Beaver Cleavage should be revealed as the permanent Raw GM. Your time starts now.
Oh my god, of course! Cleavage was my favorite character from the Attitude Era. I mean, he had that custom entrance before everybody had it. You know, John Morrison, he's got that custom entrance thing where time slows down, but no, Beaver Cleavage, he's much better. He goes into black and white. And so whenever he sends a message through the Raw General Manager laptop, everything will go into black and white, and it'll have all that classic cheesy music that had during the 1950s sitcoms, and it's going to be great. He was so over. He's way more better than H or Johnny Ace or Vince McMahon as a GM of Raw.
Okay. Good stuff. Let's see what Swerve can do. Swerve, your statement is Sting versus Hogan Monday will be a textbook classic 5-star match. Your time starts now.
Of course it is, because, 2011, it's, we have all this stuff. We have all this stuff like CM Punk and John Cena. Fuck that! Stuff like Triple H being the general manager or something. Fuck that! People want to see Sting versus Hogan. They want to see the good finish. They want to see the power struggle. The fucking power struggles of a model. And they want to see things. They want to see a dumb bitch called Dixie Carter run the company again and pay Hulk Hogan £2 million a year. It's the best decision ever. It's going to be the best match ever for the best pay-per-view ever.
It's a difficult one this week, I have to say. Purely because what you said actually has made me think a little bit differently. This week's winner of the Shoot Promo Championship is Swerveface.
Swerveface.
Clap, 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 clap.
Couldn't have happened to a better, I guess, man.
He is indeterminate.
Thanks to Swerve, I'm not going to buy the pay-per-view.
Thank you very much to everyone who's turned up this week to come and listen to the show. I'd like to thank our panel. On the winning side, 360-degree heel turn was RMD. And Omega, who's just quit. So he's definitely not John Cena. Swerveface, our new champion.
The clappy pyro is everywhere. Balls!
On the other team of GoldenDumpX, it was James Bar PX.
I don't give a fuck.
Goldeneye.
Shoot promo on motorcycles.
Shoot promo on motorcycles.
WindowDump.
That's it. Next week, Swerveface, Yumi, I'm cashing in my rematch clause.
I was your host, Red Reddington. Thank you very much for joining. Mint, stop the recording!